Right. Okay. Right. All right. Good morning, or good afternoon, depending on the time of day. Good morning. Test. All right, we're good over here. Facebook, we're good. Let me make sure we're good. Facebook. All right. Good morning, or good afternoon. All right, we're here. Facebook is there. Time of day. If you're listening to this on the Move Swiftly podcast, by the way, just give it a second. Give me a second. Let me make sure everything is being recorded. If you're a regular listener, you have noticed that I've been able to figure out efficient ways of utilizing my time. So I just do all my recordings all at once and knock them out, and then get on with reaching out, making sure I'm focusing on outreach of the business and getting in front of more people and things of that nature. So that stuff is important. Adjusting as you go, which by the way is going to be a theme coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned for that. Adjusting, scaling with the usage of AI, all that stuff is getting ready to come down the pipeline. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. Just stay tuned. All right, LinkedIn, we're good. Let me just check. Stay tuned. Just stay tuned. All right, cool. LinkedIn, we're good. And YouTube, we're good. YouTube, we are all. YouTube, we're good. All right, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time of day it may be when you are consuming this. First and foremost, let me introduce myself to any newcomers, anybody that may be new to my world. My name, as one Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon-to-be 6-time published author and educator. What I do, what I created, what the business is all about, what the whole +LY concept is all about is taking the lessons that you learn on the football field, the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field, and aligning them with businesses and business owners and business organizations. So they have a group of employees, they have a staff that moves as efficiently and as cohesively, and they have that eagerness to them as the same thing that you would see in a championship level high school or youth football team. I tell you high school or youth level because as you can see what's going on in the collegiate and the college levels, money is just completely ruining it. Money is just ruining the college football game, and it's ruining the NFL game. It's ruining it. There's no other word to describe it. The money is ruining the game. Again, I will never be someone that that goes over the top in terms of my takes and my frustrations with what's going on in college football and stuff like that. I won't take it to the level that a lot of other folks who pay attention to college football. I'll never take it to the level where I'm just trashing the game, because I think college football, there's something sacred with those two words. I think there's something sacred about college football in general. There's never going to be a certain amount of money that will just, make it so the game is completely ruined. And there's certain elements to it. There's certain traditions that involve. There's certain families that get built through the college football game. So I can never completely trash it. But when you think about what happened in Tennessee with the quarterback, and then the tragic thing that happened with the kid from LSU, it is it's a difficult transition. It's difficult to see when money and mistakes and these things just kind of come all the way full circle. So we have to be very sympathetic. We have to be empathetic and sympathetic towards people that, new young men, know what these college kids go through. Again, you're speaking to someone that played college football for 2 programs. So you got to understand that you have to be very understanding of what it's like to play the game and be a part of it. And just understand it's a lot. It's a lot. We'll just say it like that. It's a lot for the players. It's very taxing for the players, and it's a lot for the coaches as well. It's a lot for their families. It's a lot. It's just a lot to be involved. So that's kind of my take on the situation. I didn't actually talk about that publicly. As I give my intro every single morning, it takes me back to the mindset of a college football player. It takes me back to the mindset of what it was all about, what it was like being at that age, what it was like, coaching and being a high school football coach and being around young men that want to play at the collegiate level, having had played at the collegiate level. It's crazy how the narrative is. Having had played at the collegiate athletes and getting paid notably, celebrities call it race. Having had played at the collegiate level, and when you see a young man take his life like that, it hits everyone. I don't care who you are. It hits everyone in a certain way. And one of the things that actually really bothered me about it was hearing people's take, how, look, the kid's running away from this, legal troubles again. We don't know specifically why the guy took his life. We don't know the ins and outs. You don't know what the young man was going through, nor do you know what he did. All that stuff is between the family. This is where we as adults, we gotta exercise greater restraint, in my opinion. And we have to make sure we're, again, sympathetic to the family, sympathetic to the teammates, sympathetic to the coaches, sympathetic to the people that knew this young man personally. All right. They knew him personally, and we can't get on the internet and start trashing him or start, saying things that are just inconsiderate to the overall, deal that he's going through, the overall thing that happened. That's what has to happen. All right. We as adults, if you want to comment on the game, if you want to comment on how they play, listen, if guy stunk up the joint, hey, have at it, tear him up on the internet. But when you start getting these personal shots, adults that I've seen personal shots and telling people why he did this and what happened in his personal life, that's where, in my opinion, we got to be careful that we don't cross the line in terms of our commentary. I actually have an early comment. Do you think it's crazy how the narrative had changed when student athletes weren't getting paid? Notable celebrities called it racist. Now they get paid. Those same people say it's terrible. How can we make sense of this? I mean, it's a great, listen, Belfort, man, I appreciate you, man. It's a great question. And I've been on record. Actually, it's in, let me show you. Actually, when me and you were part of Dre's program, remember when I wrote this? I've made the argument that if you're going to do NIL, if you're a college athlete, and you're going to do NIL, you have to tie the money into some type of university. Like, you have to give a percentage back to the university in a way that the student athlete is happy with. Like, let's say it's a Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams signs an NIL deal, but the part of the deal is that some of the money is going back to the USC Business School, and now he stays committed to that university. I think the problem is when student athletes are getting paid the way they're getting paid, but then they're jumping to another school and not staying committed to the school that they said they were going to stay committed to, that's when things become a problem, because now it's like, okay, you're a young person that's telling themselves, hey, I'm trying to get the best education, but then you're jumping and leaving for the money. Now there's a contradiction in terms of what we want to teach our young athletes, and what we want to teach the young athletes in terms of commitment, in terms of how to do your job, versus, okay, just follow the money. And that's where I think that's just where the conversation has taken to the point where now they're calling it, oh, it's terrible. Well, I mean, it's not terrible that the athletes are getting paid. I think the part that's terrible is that they're jumping around from school to school. Like, I mean, me as a Michigan fan, I could not, just never would. I mean, if you get a Michigan guy and then all of a sudden you put an Ohio State jersey on, that's like, no. The game will feel like, if it's a Michigan guy, you have him come in Michigan, but Ohio State comes in with more money, and you go from wearing a Michigan uniform to wearing an Ohio State uniform. It's like, it just is a completely different game. But appreciate your support, man. Yeah, keep the questions coming. All right, before I get to the top 5 Tuesday today, let me get through a couple of announcements here, and then we'll get right into it. As you see, what we do over here every Tuesday in the top 5 Tuesday. We break down the top 5 of some sort. Anyway, but first and foremost, West Palm Beach. If you are interested and you live in the West Palm Beach area and you're interested in free boxing lessons, go to freeboxing.makeyourmove.com. That's freeboxing.makeyourmove.com. Or if you're looking at this on either YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, just hit the QR code that you see right there on the screen. We had an unbelievable session this past Saturday. I mean, the people are coming and they are just getting their jabs, their cross, their uppercuts, their hooks, all that stuff in. And it's just a great time, a great thing that you can learn. And again, it is 1000% free. The only thing you have to pay is now you got to wake your behind up on a Saturday morning and let's get after it. All right. Next thing, like I said, like I mentioned, business owners. We are here to serve you. If you have not yet, I need you to go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. And download, just put your information in and you will get a 10-step process on how to utilize certain things to make it so you're having more productive meetings. And again, everything we do around here is about teaching efficiency and teaching a staff or teaching a group of employees how to move like that championship team that shows up to work every single day and they have a goal. They know their goal. They know how they're going to get there. That's what we do over here. All right. We teach that every single day. We preach it every single day. All right. Next thing, make sure you tap into the patreon.com/as144. You can come in at regular season, preseason, or postseason, depending on where you may be financially. And all of that is available. MakeYourMove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. As you can see, if you're looking at this visually, you can shop, you can join the Patreon, you could book me to speak, or you could just learn more about As1, or you can tune into one of those fantastic episodes from the Move Swiftly podcast that comes out every single day. Again, this recording eventually is going to be on the Move Swiftly podcast later on today. So, all that being said, see, did I forget anything? No, yeah. One last thing. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, wherever you listen to, whether it's the podcast or this channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to it. Share it out. Anybody that needs it, especially if you're an owner, especially if you're struggling with turnover, especially just struggling, keeping a solid group, keeping a solid team around you. What I do, take those lessons from football. We see the kind of teams that are built, the kind of community, kind of excitement, the kind of togetherness that the world of football creates. What I do is I take the elements of those things and apply them to businesses. So you need to share this with every single business owner that you know that struggles a ton with getting groups of people to believe in their word and believe in what it is they're doing. All right. So here we go. All that being said, let's get into the topic today. Let's get into the content today on another Top 5 Tuesday. Here is the article. Again, also to make sure you follow me on medium.com as well. This is usually that. So from time to time, I'll put an article out on LinkedIn. But if you really enjoy my work, if you really enjoy reading quality stuff, most of my articles are going to be coming out on Medium. Also, the next book I have, let's see, it's April. So I have officially 8 months now, 8 more months because I said it, you guys heard it. Again, I'm one of those that once I say I'm going to do something, I got to get it done. I got to get it done by any means necessary. So book number 6 on how to be a wintrepreneur, it's coming out, I said before 2026. And a lot of the work that I do medium wise, again, I have over 300 articles on this one platform. Some of those articles are going to make it on the book, some aren't, and it's going to really be about wintrapreneurship and how to create that wintrapreneur culture in your workplace. So yeah, that's another place you need to be following me. I'm thinking I may just give out a free book for anybody that follows me on medium.com, something to that effect. Again, all these things are in the works as we speak. And as I have conversation and I reach out to certain college programs, athletic programs. It's going to be something great. It's going to be something great. Let me just tell you right now, get on, start moving swiftly, get on before the train leaves, because the train is leaving and we ain't looking back. We ain't looking back. I used to say it all the time. It's like all As1 really needs is that significant other that gonna ride with them and it's gonna be lock on, give them that foundation, and then you're gonna see a different dude. Like I was a different dude before I met her, but now it's like, okay, your As1-ness is starting to come out. It's about to go down. Okay. I'm getting off topic. I'm losing it right now. All right, let's get to the article, folks. Let's get to the article. All right, so Top five environments in which I excel by As1 Crutching. Top 5 Tuesday, #Make Your Move. Here we go. As is the norm here in the Move Swiftly Sports Marketing, as is the norm here in the world of Move Swiftly Sports Marketing, we're back at it with another Top 5 Tuesday. This week's list was sparked by a recent school trip that I took with a group of first and second graders to the Mounts Botanical Gardens in West Palm Beach. Before touring the garden, we sat through a quick but insightful lecture on how different plants thrive in different environments. The idea stuck with me. It got me thinking, what are the environments where I grow, perform, and contribute the most? After reflecting, here are the top 5 environments where I personally excel, the places that bring out the best in me and have helped shape the career path I walk today. Boom! Before we even start the list, that is how you become a content machine. All right. Shout out to Dre who actually coined that term. Becoming a content machine is about seeing what's going on in life, absorbing the energy, absorbing the things, absorbing all of it, and saying, okay, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? Let me write that down. I'll show you guys my notepad right here that I have. Actually, it was one of my colleagues, a teacher that gave me this notepad last year. I still have it in my backpack. Anytime something goes down, put it to paper, write it down. What you got to do. How can I speak about this? How can I flesh out this topic? How can I do this? How can I do that? Constantly on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis, just simply getting better. That's how you really perfect your craft. That's how you work your craft on a day-to-day basis to the point where no one can really tell you no. No one can actually stop you because in your mind, you're just going. You're going regardless of who's with you. You are absolutely just going to keep rolling. All right. So first things first, and I've already kind of stepped on this. I've always kind of stepped on it as you guys heard me talk about, football, my experience of playing football and all that. But number one should not be a surprise in terms of the top 5 environments in which I excel. Number one is football practice fields. Let's start with the obvious. I'm reading it directly from the article, folks. It says, let's start with the obvious. If you spent even 5 minutes around me, you already know the football field is my sanctuary. My sanctuary. Oh, man, the sanctuary. All right. As a teenager, and this is important now. This is important because I want to make sure I flesh out this point in regards to how when you really know you're doing the work that you need to be doing. You're doing the work that you were called to do. You're doing the work that you were called and put on this earth to do. When you're doing your work, not your job, but your work. There's a difference. Not your job. You're doing your work. You're doing your work. Your job is some shit that you just getting paid for, and you would only do it if you're getting paid. If you're getting paid to do it. Your work is the stuff that you do, no matter how much damn money you got, no matter what you're going to do it all day and every day, because that's what we got to have. And that's what we got to get back to finding. We really got to find this. In fact, this morning, I was listening to one of my favorite YouTubers. His name is Anton Daniels. And he was talking about how there's some folks who are going to be stuck in a job for the rest of their life because it is all mindset. They forgot exactly what it is they wanted to do as a kid. They forgot what they were all about. And as soon as somebody gave them a damn check, and as soon as they paid this and paid that, all of a sudden they forgot all their goals, forgot everything. They forgot everything that they wanted to do because somebody gave them a check, and now you're stuck in this job that you have to go and do every day, and you absolutely hate it. You hate it to the point where you just do it and you're miserable all day, and you forgot about the work that you actually are passionate about and the work that's from your heart that you're going to be continuing to do. You forgot about that. You can't let that happen to you. Don't let it happen to you. And I'm going to tell you this story. And hopefully it's inspiring to you. All right. So here it is. Reading again. Now I'm directly reading from the article, folks. As a teenager, I was the quiet, respectful Caribbean kid who kept to himself until I stepped on the football field. I'll never forget the summer I worked as a camp counselor at my high school's football camp. Shout out to the Good Counsel Football Prospect Camp. Click here. Let me show you guys a link. This is it for anybody that is looking at this visually. This is the Good Counsel Football Camp. Make sure you guys go, especially if you listen to this and you're from Maryland, make sure y'all go register. Coach Stefanelli got them boys right. Already got a CAC championship under his belt and all that. So, again, shout out to Coach Stefanelli. Make sure y'all go register for that. All right, so back to the article now. Each player was assigned that, and this was when I used to coach at that camp in the summer. This is when I was still playing there. It says each player was assigned their own team of younger campers to coach. By midweek, I'd become the loudest person on the field. One of the coaches even pulled me aside and said, "You're really into this camp. I'm proud of you." That moment was a spark. I discovered that in football, I'm not shy. I'm a leader. All right, let me break this down for you guys. I want you guys to really picture this because I touched on this yesterday when I was talking about the environment in which required me to grow and how it was me being many times the only Black kid in a class, and me being, in fact, I think I have the picture still. They got the thumbnail, right? Yes. It was this, I'm one of the few Black kids in this entire school, in this entire situation. And that forced me to grow because it forced me to look beyond color and look to be in a situation where, hey, you have to actually have merit. You have to actually be good enough to do this. And I had to actually be good enough to play in the game. It wasn't just because I was Black that I started. It was because you actually could play. You actually showed up to workouts and, was in the weight room and did sprints and, did his best. Again, all that stuff plays a factor, and it has nothing to do with race, right? So as I was going through that social cultural change, you got to understand, I grew up in a 2-parent household, Caribbean parents, Trinidad and Tobago, like hardcore. My father was up my ass, plain and simple. I mean, I would never, ever disrespect an adult. The way that, and this is another thing I might go on a tangent about, because when it comes to the way I was raised with my mother, my father, and even my older sister, who had many times kind of became a sort of a parent too type person, I would never disrespect adults. I would never have a disrespectful thing. It's like, hey, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. That was just who I was. Shy, reserved, didn't, cause any trouble, wasn't talking back to teachers, wasn't talking to class. Again, I had no friends at the school. I was incredibly shy and reserved, right? So here's what happened. Again, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I'm not going to tell you to not be like that. But when you get on the football field, you got to become an asshole. Right? This is what I learned. When you get on the football field, you got to stop being Mr. Nice Guy. You got to stop being, a shy. No, you got to start becoming an asshole. That's the beauty of the game, man. That's the beauty of the game. The game requires you to start being an asshole a little bit. Start kicking some out. There was a time I was in college, and shout out to Coach Tooch and Coach Trick. I was with the linebackers, and this is at Stony Brook, and Tooch was the linebacker, and he was complaining about how the D-line didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what the slants needed to be on. They didn't know what gaps to fill, and it would cause so many problems. And Coach Trick just looks at him. He goes, look, man, time to start kicking some ass. You got to start kicking some. He said it just like that. He said, you gotta start kicking some ass. You gotta start kicking some ass. You gotta start going to these dealers, like, get your ass in the damn game. Okay. And this is why I'm so appreciative of my college experience, because I started out at Stony Brook on the defensive side, and then I moved to the offensive side when I was around the head coach. At least the head coach at the time, his name was Coach Priori, Coach P. We called him Coach P. And he would work with the offensive line primarily. And we had another leader in our center. His name was Paul Fenaroli. And I remember there was one time where he was yelling at Paul Fenaroli. He was like, I haven't seen you become an asshole yet. I haven't seen you be an asshole. Like, he wants that. He wants that player to be an asshole when you get on the field. All right. That's the point I'm making is, again, me, shy, reserved, relaxed kid off the field. That's what they want. That's a great kid. You don't got to worry about social problems. You don't got to worry about doing things. You don't got to worry about things that are happening off the field, which is important. All right. But when you get on the field, the beauty of the game is when you get on the field, now you get to be an asshole. Now you get to yell and scream at people and get a little edgy and be a little chippy and all that kind of stuff. That's the beauty of the game. All right. So being as reserved and shy as I was, I remember working that camp. And again, Coach Malloy, he let us in the camp. He made it so we actually got like a stipend. We got like $50 or whatever it was to work the camp. And he would give us these groups of kids, like we would do these 7-on-7s, and we'd have our seven groups of kids, and then another teammate of mine would have their 7 group of kids, and then we'd compete in a 7-on-7 throughout the week. And let me tell you, man, I was like, this shit is in my blood. I didn't know I could talk like this. I didn't know I could scream and get this loud. It had to either be my sophomore, my junior year, where I'm running around, I'm screaming at kids, I'm doing stuff that is like, yo, Asmer, you gotta remember, then not high school yet, to the point where I didn't realize it was happening until Coach McFadden, he comes to me after like while we're in break or whatever, and he looks at me, he goes, hey man, you're really into this camp. You're really doing it. You're really showing us a side of you that we don't normally see. We don't normally see, right? So what happened was when I graduated from college, I remember when I was close to graduating, I didn't graduate yet. I went back and me and McFadden had a chat, and I was telling him I wanted to get into coaching and stuff like that. And then he asked me, is this something that you knew you wanted to do, back when you were here and when you were a teenager and all that? I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, because of that specific time. And the reason I'm bringing all this, and I wanted to give you as much backstory as I possibly can, is because when you lose your way, it's really important to think back to those years in your teen years and before your teen years, or those years in which you really had the ambition to build something, and what brought you out, what really lit you up, what really made it so you could talk about this stuff on hours upon hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. So that had to be number one on the list. Easily, point blank, number one on the list was those football fields, that practice field, running around in camps and running around with kids where it's like, you're screaming to really get them better, because that's where the growth happens. That's where all it is. Public speaking, all it is, the books, all this stuff happened right there. When you got to drop your nuts, man, you got to drop those nuts. You got to toughen up those baby nuts and say, let's play ball, baby. Woo! Okay. Let me get a sip of water. I give some water. You see why it's number one, right? All right, let's get to number two. Hosting workshops and auditoriums. Hosting workshops in classrooms or auditoriums. All right, back to reading from the article again. Do not forget, like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anybody that needs to hear it. They lost their way, they're a business owner, and they cannot seem to keep that staff together. All right, so number two, hosting workshops in classrooms or auditoriums. This one I credit to Positive Coaching Alliance. Yes, I do. At one point, I was hosting multiple workshops daily across South Florida. They had just signed a regional contract and I was the only certified trainer available. Whether it was an auditorium, whether it was a packed auditorium of coaches or a single team of student athletes, I brought the energy every single time. Those reps gave me the confidence to develop and host my own workshops. One's now focused on employee development and leadership training. You can check them out, and you can check out what that's evolved into here. And I'm going directly to the Move Swiftly workshop, which is right here for business owners that are having a challenging time. And before I even go, let me give PCA a shout out, because this is actually where it all started. For those of you who are listening to this on the Move Swiftly podcast, I'm just kind of scrubbing through the Positive Coaching Alliance, positivecoach.org, who I have so much admiration and respect and appreciation for this organization, because you got to understand, it was at a time that I was at a crossroads. I moved to South Florida and I had to make 2 part-time jobs work. I had to work at a 9-round kickboxing fitness, and I was working for the Miami Dolphins Foundation. These were 2 part-time positions that I had to just, be disciplined in terms of what I ate, in terms of me going out, in terms of, what I was going to do from a social standpoint and make those two positions worse, because it was my dream. It was my dream. It's always been my dream to align what goes on in the fitness industry and then what goes on with these athletic organizations and be that bridge. I like the company, my first company that I ever started, Gym 44. The slogan was building a bridge from fitness to performance, fitness, and then you perform on the field. That's been the bridge that I've been building from day one. So being able to work at a fitness facility and work for the Miami Dolphins Foundation, I was all about it, but I was at a crossroads because the mindsets of both of the hire, in fact, neither one of them are still there. The person that hired me for the Dolphins Foundation, he's no longer there. And the person that hired me at this 9 round, that gym is out of business. So, excuse me, I saw the writing on the wall about a year before both of them got up out of there. And I was at a crossroads. It just so happened that I went to the Miami Dolphins coaching clinic, and Positive Coaching Alliance just happened to be there. And that when I spoke to his name was Todd Crinetti, he was actually the one that was hosting the workshop. He's located in Tampa, but when I met him, I asked him, hey, you guys need any trainers? Because I kind of like what you guys are doing here, this, that, and the third. And he goes, actually, yeah, we just started a chapter in South Florida. And that's when I started going to Toast, because I knew in order for me to host these workshops eventually, I had to develop as a public speaker. I couldn't be, now it's not that I was a bad public speaker at that point, but I was really, really unpolished, like really raw, really uncut, because the only thing I knew was screaming at people at 9 round, like just yelling, all that stuff is great. But eventually you see how my tone comes down, how I'm able to speak, how I'm able to tell this story, how I'm able to move in a certain way. All of that came because the Positive Coaching Alliance workshops and being able to train there, that is what it required. So I went to Toastmasters. I got myself right with the public speaking world and, getting around them. And it was like, yeah, you got to do this. You got to do it like this. You got to do it like that. And as things were transitioning, I was practicing those speeches at 9 round. And then the book came out. And then a lot of stuff that I'm doing now, all of that stuff came out. And I have to I got to give PCA the credit, because without that organization, it would have been a real challenge for me to see what my next move was, what my thing was. And that led from PCA, the reason. So they recently, I checked it the other day. I don't know if it's so let me check it now while I'm looking. But so let's see. I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Yeah, so they took me off the website, which I expected, because they're an organization that doesn't, and sometimes I get a little controversial in my content, politics, and maybe some things I bring up that ain't really right on their end, which is fair, which is 1,000% fair, especially this political season, when I might have said some things that weren't in alignment, so to speak, with their overall message. But at the end of the day, it's all love. It's all love. It's all love when it comes to this organization. I know a lot of these people that I'm scrolling through all the trainers at PC, and I know a lot of them, and I had opportunities to talk to them and see what they're about, what business is, and how they built their stuff. And I'm inspired every time I see anything Positive Coaching Alliance. But yes, I get it. They had to remove me from their website, because again, there's some things I've said, I've said publicly, that isn't going to be necessarily the best. Because I get controversial, especially when you're talking politics and this political season and some of the things that I had to deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's like, look, man, I just had to get it off my chest. So anyway, so that's number two. Number three, again, you could probably expect this one: leading a boot camp workout. If you've ever seen a Move Swiftly Thought video, you already know the vibe: passion, sweat, unfiltered truth, all of it right after my morning run. That passion was cultivated during my time as a lead trainer at 9 Round Kickboxing Fitness, where I had to run multiple classes a day, often solo. The energy had to stay up, and I made sure it did. The moment I realized people were actually feeding off that energy, I knew I had something special. Today, that spark lives on through content that blends fitness, mindset, and motivation. And I said it this morning. When I ran through this top 5 in a quick way. But from this morning to now, when I'm revisiting it, when you are going to pursue something that's never been done, when you are asking people for 5 figures, you are asking people for a 5-figure deals to invest 5 figures in you, you had better have something that makes you different. You had better have something that makes you unique, that makes it so they want it from you and only you. Only you could provide the thing that they want. If you're asking for real money, all right, I'm not talking, you buy a book for $25 or you buy some t-shirt that you're selling for $15 or some hat or some cup or some shit that you have, that's some small item stuff. Again, fair. If you want to sell that, go ahead and sell it. But you have to sell a whole shitload of them if you're going to actually make a difference in your life. I'm talking about the folks, the thought leaders, the authors, the professional speakers, and the folks that I want to be amongst that I want to be, mentioned in, like the Eric Thomases of the world and the Inky Johnsons of the world, the big dogs. I'm ready to start with the big dogs, right? The Les Browns of the world. If you are asking folks to pay as one Crookshank well over 5-figure deals, invest 5 figures in you, you had better have something that makes you unique. And I'm saying me, but I'm talking to you guys directly who talk about wanting to do something great, who talk about wanting to be a thought leader, who talk about a lot of shit, just talking. All right, talking. I'm talking to you. You better have something unique that if somebody looks you up and they say, okay, what makes this person, what makes this guy investable? What makes this guy or this girl, I'm not going to discriminate or anything like that, but what makes this person somebody that I'm going to write a check of 5 figures for? Why? So for me, that I get so fired up when it comes to this because number 3, leading a boot camp workout is what led to the daily Move Swiftly thoughts. I'm going to look it up with you guys. Because again, you can pull my receipts. It's daily Move Swiftly thought. Bang. Right after a run, over 1,000 of them that have come out where it's me right after a run, making it so I am, actually, instead of daily, let me just put Move Swiftly thought. Making it so I am capturing that feeling. I'm capturing that feeling that you have right after a run. And it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling because you did something productive. You're not depending on another person to have given you these endorphins, giving you this refreshing feeling. It's not dependent on what somebody else can give you. This is stuff you can give to yourself. And that's power. That's beautiful. That's something that you should have in your own heart. And if you could teach that mentality to every single employee that you have, you will absolutely have a business that's thriving. You will absolutely have a business that's moving in a direction where you just have a positive attitude. Even if it's something negative that happens, you just are walking in with that positive attitude. And in many times, and I've had a ton of jobs, and many times, that right there is the difference. Just walking in with a damn positive attitude and having some appreciation for the fact that you have a damn job. That right there would solve a ton of your problems. A ton of you people listening to me right now, that would solve a ton of your problems if you would just figure out a way to get it so the people who walk in there show some damn appreciation for the fact that they have a fucking job and they're not living homeless. They're not living under a bridge somewhere. If they would actually just show some appreciation for that, then you would actually have something positive. But unfortunately, we give people too much money. We start throwing a bunch of salaries at them. We start making them feel like they're more qualified than they actually are. And then now you get people complaining, well, this did happen. There's president do this. And there's president do all this other shit. Like, just shut up and do your damn job. Shut up. Okay. See, that... Number three. I'm gonna calm down on that. Number 3, leading a boot camp workout. And when it comes to leading a boot camp workout, you gotta understand what you just heard me say, what you just heard me get off my chest is when the people are coming in for a workout, that's what they want. They want to hear that. They want to get their ass kicked. They want to be punished. All right. And I've been in fitness for a long time. And I remember it was actually in the Orange Theory. It was when I was at Orange Theory, and there was a member who was talking to a trainer. It was another trainer, coach, or something like. Actually, it was Anthony. Anthony, his name is Anthony Lumpkin, and she was talking to him about some other trainer that she was willing to hire for her daughter. And she said to us, it was me and Anthony. I remember we were working the front desk, and Anthony was one of the coaches. I was working in sales, and she goes, I didn't hire him because he was too nice. She said, I didn't hire the personal trainer that I was thinking about hiring for my daughter. He was too nice. I said, no, you got to kick her butt. Kick her butt. You're too nice, man. You don't work her behind out. Okay? And that's what I look to capture when we're talking about the Move Swiftly thought, and you see me do it every single day. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right. That's number 3. Let's get to number 4. All right. Watching games at a sports bar. This one's a little bit different, but just as real, especially during college football season, okay? The sports bar is where my passion, analysis, and love for the game comes alive, okay? I've had some of the best conversations, spontaneous debates, and unforgettable connections with complete strangers, just vibing over a good game. It's not just football. It's about tribe building. That environment is social electricity, is the social electricity in which I thrive in. All right, I got to take you guys back a little bit, because this one actually started when I was back home in Silver Spring, Maryland, and there was this place called Billard's. All right, Billard's. I'm not sure if they're still in business, but it's Billard's in downtown Silver Spring, Maryland. Anybody that grew up in the Silver Spring area, they know exactly the place I'm talking about. They got the pool tables, they got the bar, they got the little breakfast sampler, they got the big screen going on. It's right there. I believe it was City Place Mall, where they got the TVs going. It was an unbelievable atmosphere. This was my first time in a sports bar. I was 19 or so when I first discovered it, and was where the first time I went there, I was with my family, with my mother, father, sister, and we watched prior to this season, but it was the last time the Redskins actually won a playoff game, when they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Sean Taylor. And, he got the innocent, and unfortunately he had the incident where he spit in the guy's face and all that kind of stuff. It was that game with LeVar Arrington and all that. I was having my LeVar Arrington jersey. I was running around because we won that one. We won our playoff game, and I was running around reckless and hugging total strangers and all that shit, right? So there was a time where it was just me and my sister. We went back. I was 19 and I had to move back home, and I was working at Washington Sports Club, and we had went back to watch a Dallas Cowboys versus Redskins game. Now, for those of you who don't know, there are a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans that are in the Maryland and DC area. So again, I have my Sean Taylor shirt on, have my other Redskins folks with me, other Dallas fans were there, and we happened to win that game when we played. And the kind of love, the kind of energy, the kind of passion, the kind of just overall vibing, like I said, with other fans, and even Dallas fans, to be honest with you, because this was back when Romo was playing there, and I was screaming out, "Romo's a homo! Romo's a homo!" And you had the people with the Romo shirts on, and they giving it back to us. In fact, my sister, it was actually the Tampa game, the one where it was me, my sister, my mother, and and my father, when we watched the Redskins beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that year, and it was a close game. Again, I know the game of football. I watch it, I play it, I know what needs to be done. And we had a slim lead, and Clinton Portis was the running back. And I'm screaming at the TV. I'm like, Clinton Portis, give the ball to Portis, give the ball to Portis, give the ball to Portis. Put on the ground, keep the game on the ground, slow the clock, slow the game down. Make it so the clock is moving, and we're running the ball. We don't need to be passing right now. And you had a lot of foreigners. who didn't really know the game. They just knew names, but they didn't know how to strategically win games. So you had a foreigner who was screaming out, Santana Moss, Santana Moss, Santana Moss. So Santana Moss was a wide receiver, and I'm looking at him like, bro, we don't need to be throwing the ball to Santana Moss right now. All right, I get what you're saying, and you like saying the name Santana Moss, but right now we just need to keep the ball on the ground, keep the clock moving, and win this game. All right, we got to win this game. So my sister kind of picked up on the little conversation I was having with him, and we have a running joke where it's like Santana Moss. So that's just kind of the way it is when it comes to sports bars and what it's all about. It's a beautiful time. And don't get me started. Like when I found the Michigan football people out here in South Florida, oh man, you better believe it, boy. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. That's great. So those are my teams. Whenever I'm watching, especially during the fall, sports bars, you can see me regularly there watching my Redskins or watching my Michigan Wolverines and really vibing out with my fellow people. Those are my people, man. Those are my people. The people I really get a hold of. If you paid attention to me throughout this past fall, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So final one is number five, creating activities for young students. This one caught me by surprise. Over the past few years, I've worked as an educator in both daycares and a startup K-5 school without a formal teacher's certificate. And yet, whenever I'm asked to design something interactive for students, I deliver. Whether I'm pulling from time spent with my niece and nephew, because I used to do it all the time when they were that age, leaning on my camp counselor days, like I was telling you earlier, or channeling the character that my girlfriend calls the one and only Move Swift+LY. She called me that this weekend. She said, you are an actual character, actually. I just find a way to make it happen. The creativity, the joy, the spontaneity, it all clicks. Final thoughts. Growth isn't accidental. It happens when we are planted in the right environment. If this reflection spoke to you, yeah. So again, go read the article. It's available on medium.com. But let me just touch on that final one for a second. Creating activities for young students. This one again, it came from a place where my niece and nephew, because my niece and nephew came when I was in my early 20s and I had just graduated from college, and they were actually my world. I was watching them grow so fast. I mean, it seemed like I blinked and my niece was 3 years old and my nephew was 1. And this one's, he can't even pronounce her name. He's calling her Yada, and they're trying. So me being the uncle that wanted to be very active, wanted to be the one that was running around with them and, be energetic, be that uncle that they remember, man. A lot of the activities that I actually come up with now at the school I teach at, because it's the Center for Creative Education, I draw on some of those memories and I'm able to apply them. As we work. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. And I'll close you out with just this concept is when you're thinking about what we talked about today, or what the right environment is for you, it's important that you get back into the childlike element, the features and the things that you wanted to be as a child, and figure out if there's an alignment, figure out if there's a way, figure out if there's something that you can be doing that's going to tap into those principles and tap into, those burning things that you have in your mind or you have in your heart as a child, And if you can get into those principles, you'll just start to feel yourself growing and growing and growing and growing. And again, use me as an example. I mean, me talking, listen, I was nobody, not a single person would have been able to predict that Aswan Cruikshank can just run a show from Monday through Friday and then host these live streams and be able to have fluid content, fluid public speaker, and just being able to do it as easily and as consistently as I do. But again, a lot of it is because I spent a lot of time working on my craft, reading books, making sure I'm taking in as much information as I'm putting out. So I challenge you and I encourage all of you guys to do the same thing. So it's been another great, incredible top five Tuesday. Be sure to tap in to makeyourmove.com. That's MAKEYAMOVE.com for all the information to stay in touch, to move deeper, whether you want to join the Patreon, whether you want to book me to speak, or whether you just simply want to shop there, get some merch, or just learn more about me. All of that is available at makeyourmove.com. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.